Welcome to Old Man Blerd. Hi, I'm John, and along with my friend Terrence, we make up a pair of lifelong geeks who happen to be black, over 50, but are certainly nerds first and foremost. The Alpha Geek and the Omega Freak. And we welcome everyone. And by everyone, we mean nerds, blerds, and bleaks, cosplayers and role players, geeks and freaks, Marvel zombies and distinguished competitors, Trekkies, Star Warriors, Batmaniacs, and Spider fans, Warhams, Whovians, AFOLs, adult fans of Legos, Tolkienites, Weeaboos, Supernatural hunters and otakus, Ava geeks, bro stars and sis stars, Pokemon trainers, Potterheads, bronies, Whovians, browncoats and Scoobies, and all nerd properties in between. Because we are over 50, we've seen a thing or two and have experience, long experience, with a lot of these properties. So thank you for listening to Old Man Blerd.
Hello.
Hey, there you are.
Finally.
Yeah, because it was not saying that I could unmute you, which is weird. But anyways, hello.
Anyways,
we're here. All right.
yes, we are.
An abbreviated version of the newly name changed, used to be Blerd Vision, but Blerd Vision was taken. And now it's Old Man Blerd, which could have been Old Man Geek, but I was like, I've already got Old Man Blerd. We'll keep it. Not that we're old, like you said last week. We are refined. But
Yes, like a wine.
Exactly. But with that, we are old enough to say that some of the things that are nerdy, we have experience with that is going on 30, 40 years. Whereas I was looking at some of the other Blerd podcasts, all respect intended, they're all in their like 20s and 30s.
Pups.
It's like hardly inconvenient to be a Blerd now. So a lot different than it was then. So
Well, yes, and that's what gives us the advantage because we can talk about the old days, as they want to say.
right, the old days. Yeah.
Like
so
when Spider-Man with Nicholas Hammond used a rope for webbing.
yeah, right. So Terrence, my brother from another mother, what nerdy thing are you up to right now?
Well, I got my website being worked on for my project as far as the video game con, and they're working on that now, and I'm paying in the process for the hotel.
Sorry, I lost connection with you there for a second. Could you repeat that?
Yes, I have started the website that I was working on for my video game convention is being worked on right now, and in process paying for the hotel for the event.
Oh, nice. Could you explain that to the folks listening? The event?
Well, it's simple. I wanted to do a video game event, and first of all, not many people of our hue do such things, and I wanted to talk about the entire video game experience.
Oh, okay. So you have some voice actors, some talent, some rooms for
Exactly. Like there's some
playing.
people that are very good at just doing trees, but their trees look real.
Nice. And they should actually be praised for that because, not everybody can do a tree. Ask the folks at I guess it was Pokemon Sword and Shield where the trees were kind of a little funky.
Yes, and Pixar too sometimes.
That's true. That's true. Trees in water are always real tough to animate or to program as far as video games. I'm trying to think what I'm up to at the. You mentioned before the podcast my One Piece little skull cap that I'm wearing. I'm getting back to watching One Piece. That's the nerdy thing I've done this week.
Is it the live action, or are you comparing the live action to the anime?
The anime, actually. I've seen all of the live action. I'm at episode 800 of the animated series, and I took a break for a while because I was like, I just was watching nothing but One Piece, which it's great, but after a while I was just like, oh, I gotta take a break from nothing but One Piece. So started watching Mob Psycho again and Jujutsu Kaisen and some other anime stuff that I was really interested in and seeing on my hiatus from the job that is watching One Piece.
Well, that's the way it is with some geekdom, isn't it? I mean, like you were to watch Star Trek, that's a good 700 hours.
Yeah, right. Well, I have to tell a geek secret. I have seen all of the original Star Trek. I've seen all of Next Gen, but I haven't seen that much of Deep Space Nine, which I hear is stellar. That it is really, really good. And I've only probably seen maybe a half a season, maybe the full first season of
Wow.
that. Isn't that crazy? I know, isn't that? I mean, that is. They're gonna have to record. They're gonna have to revoke my Blerd card because uh, Avery Brooks is the lead actor in that. The lead character in a sci-fi series was played by him, an African American, and have not seen the whole thing. Shame, shame,
You should not be
shame.
ashamed only because you recognize where you are lacking.
Well, that
So
is
this
that is true.
this is your saving grace.
Yes,
Yes,
that I recognize my frailty. Yeah,
exactly.
I have to admit, yeah, that I'm gonna. So I'm sure people out there are screaming, "How could you not see that series?" Because from all that I've heard on it, pretty much it is the second best series in Star Trek. I think that a lot of folks are saying Next Gen is number one, and the old Trek kind of doesn't count. And then Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, D Space Nine, and then from there is more like moments, and that's the best way to put it across all the other series.
Yeah, because I know I watched a good chunk of Voyager. I think I probably watched all of Voyager. Um,
Well, well, to navalize their ships, the Voyager was more like the submarine adventures.
sure, sure. Yeah, so yeah. Well, now I've outed myself. I haven't seen Deep Space Nine, but catching up on One Piece is the nerdiest thing I've been doing this week. Trying to think of anything else. I think that's about it. We need to get to Mile High Comics at some point together.
Yes,
I haven't been in a bit. I have not gotten new comics in a, a while, and I let my Marvel Unlimited subscription lapse a month ago or 2 months ago. So I am starting to.
shame,
I know,
shame.
I know that's the second thing that I have to be ashamed of. So my comic book reading, aside from old issues that I've already read a billion times, has been lacking for the last few months too. I
Man,
know, I know, I know. I may,
I
that
mean, we
kind.
already turned it. We already turned in our black card.
Oh
I don't
God,
do
yeah.
chitlins. I can't dance.
Well, I allow for chitlins on Thanksgiving. My mother makes them. I quietly and in the closet will eat them away from everyone.
Yes, because of the odoriferousness.
Yes, and then I'll come out and say, "Yes, I'm quite vegetarian." after after Thanksgiving. Yeah, Thanksgiving I'll have a very small, very almost cereal bowl of chitlins and with some hot sauce. And I don't those damn things. But yes. So I have not lost all of the points in my more stereotypically inclined blackness.
Well, see, me, I lost it because, well, I do hot sauce, but I don't do basketball, and I don't do chitlins.
I don't do basketball. Yeah, there I lose points because I like hockey and soccer. But soccer, I guess I could be an international man of mystery sort of African
Well, yeah,
American.
that's what got me too. Because my last name, I swear to God, my father was white when I was young.
Oh, well, see, but it's French. It's a beautiful French name.
I agree, but it's because I like soccer and tennis.
I will say that in terms of colonial imperialists, I'm a little soft with the French. There's a part of me that's like, I think I have a tendency of being of a similar I guess temperament to the French. I can be occasionally snotty and judgmental, and I do like philosophy. So
Well, see, and see, you think about the French, they were the first ones to accept us to a degree
that's true. James
out of that group.
Baldwin. Yeah, James Baldwin, all the jazz people, they left in the 50s and 60s to go there. Um,
Mhm.
so I think that the minus with France is of course Algeria and all of northern Africa. The plus though is that as long as you speak French and are born there, they don't really care. You know,
No, they don't.
they don't really care. Oh, see, my phone always rings while I'm here on our podcast, and it was a commercial. I need to always remember to mute. But
That's okay. It was a good commercial.
yeah, I just was like, when you see that call that comes in, it says possibly spam. It's like, no, they couldn't stop them from calling us on our cell phones, but they at least give us a heads up. It's like possibly spam.
See, that's why I don't like off the subject a little is they're saying that the biggest video game environment right now are phone games.
Huh.
And I'm starting to hate phone games for the very
Sure.
reason that we just mentioned, and that is commercials.
Yes, they
You,
do have a lot of commercials on phone games.
mhm.
I have been playing. That is sort of nerdy thing I do. It's like if I'm waiting in an office for my other job, or one of my many other jobs, uh, I will sometimes open up the Warhammer game that's on there. I forgot what it's called. I just downloaded it, and it's fun.
Tacton or something like that.
Tacticus, I think is what it is. Tacticus,
Yes,
and
you're right. It is Tacticus.
it's fine. It's fun. It's a nice time eater. I mean, if I don't have my Switch where I'm just playing Pokemon or whatever else in an office, waiting for the appointment or meeting, yeah, I'll just whip out that phone game. But yeah, commercials and upselling, they do a whole lot of that.
And that's why I like disc again versus digital because I can see myself playing Skyrim 2, Elder Scrolls 6, and if it's a disc, I can sit there and play it versus digital download and out of nowhere, here's this commercial and I'm already fighting a demon or dragon. I do not have time for that.
That's true. You're trying to save the world from the hellscape.
And they're disrupting my mindset. This is not good.
They're killing your vibe. Um,
Exactly. Or
well,
is a BioWare girl game is a BioWare game I'm picking up a girl and it's not working, man. They're
oh,
throwing
well,
off my vibe.
there you go. Yeah, I found out in playing Baldur's Gate that there's romance options. So I think they're slowly, I guess, red pilling us to start doing dating sims in computer games in the West. It's like,
It's
wait,
okay.
I want
You
to
know,
seduce the drow.
it's weird sometimes because like I know this girl that's like 20 years younger than me and she looks actually like one of their computer game graphic girls. It's like, are you kidding me? I mean, built and everything. It's like they just followed her,
Well,
motion
yeah.
captured her.
Yeah. I think that all of the voice actors are the faces of the characters in Baldur's Gate as well. I don't know if they went all the way in terms of their bodies, though. That I do not know. I would feel like they would have to get paid extra for that.
Well,
It's
you
like,
just
okay,
actually brought up another.
you can use my face, but I don't know if you can use my the rest of my body. Because yeah, you do get up to some naughty time in those games if you wish. I have not explored this. I just have been trying to survive and get to multiple uh get to I guess it's like the third act is the last act.
Living's kind of more important than naughty time.
Yes, yes, but I think it's going to be the wave of the future. I do. What were you saying? I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I thought.
No, no, but you did bring up something that has been mentioned. As you know, the actor strike has ended.
Mm-hmm.
But by the same token, the voice actors were actually uplifted in a bad way because there was a small company that all their actors are AI. All the vocal actors are AI
Huh.
as a
The
cost saving measure.
so the
And
voices were AI as well?
exactly.
Huh. I didn't know that. I guess that makes sense. They could, I assume if they can make people to look like people in AI, they can certainly imitate the human voice.
Well, yeah, but see, what people don't think about, what you say is absolutely true, but is, hate to say this, but is kind of like when they have a clone or something in sci-fi, there's always something off.
Hmm.
You know, when they do the voice acting, there's some emotion that they're calling upon. Even June Frey, when she did Rocky, as in Rocky and Bullwinkle,
Mm-hmm.
she called upon herself when she was a little girl to
Mm-hmm.
do, Rocky's voice.
Mm-hmm.
The AI is not going to have that reference. They can copy it, but it won't be the same.
It's true, and I think I think that was a big win for the Actors Guild and the Writers Guild is that they were not going to have AI likenesses take over their jobs or use their likeness in AI settings. Like in other words, just you've acted once and they're just gonna take your image and use it in everything that they want to. So that's a victory. I think it is arguably going to be delaying the inevitable because I do think that eventually it's just, there are plenty of shows and plenty of movies that didn't seem like they were all that creative. And so I'm sure AI can write as good a movie as any number of sequels that are out there. So it's probably going to happen at some point. I would not
Well, the end
doubt.
game, if you really think about it, will be the ultimate joy. We all have that movie we like, and they have the ending we don't like.
Hmm.
And when it reaches this nth degree, you're going to find people have multiple endings.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Just like a role playing game, literally, just like a role playing game.
mhm. Choose your own adventures. I'm sure that they could AI could tear that up. But
Exactly.
speaking of Endgame, that will bring us to a news segment. There's going to be a Marvel's Avengers, the skyscraper. They're gonna release the skyscraper, the Avengers Tower, in Lego. Later on this month, I think the 24th. It's gonna be like 600.
5,000 pieces.
Yeah, it's gonna be like $600. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So I guess it comes with 31 minifigures. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a lot. But I think you get a free Marvel taxi while supplies last. So Avengers Tower. So, I'm sure there's not a whole lot of people that are going to necessarily want to pay $600 for that, but there it is. If it was given to me, I'd take it. But
I was going to say, we all know we would do it if it didn't hurt so much.
yes, yes. If I was a multimillionaire, I might get it.
Oh, oh, come on. You know you gave you a multimillionaire. Now, a thousandaire, maybe not.
Yeah, multimillionaire. I think I would be like, okay, yeah. Well, if I was a multimillionaire, I'd just have a Lego room. I would just say, okay, well, this is gonna be the Marvel universe over here. I'd have the street that has the Baxter Building and the Sanctum Sanctorum of Doctor Strange and the Avengers Tower and everything else. I'd be like, oh, that's the Marvel section. Over here, we're gonna do the Star Wars section. Yeah, yeah, but just have a
Yeah, in the
room of
Batman
just that.
section because they really don't have DC.
That's true. Well, I think they have a little bit of Superman stuff, don't they? It's mostly
Yeah, just
Batman, but
mostly Batman.
it's
Batman's their go-to.
yeah, mostly Batman. I think they probably had some of the well, did they? Maybe some of the Justice League at one point when the movie came out?
I think so. When the movie came out, I think they did like 5 sets. The flying bat, as in, or the flying fox.
Mm-hmm.
That was Batman's fortress, air fortress.
Hmm.
And then they did Atlantis.
Yeah, that checks out. Did a new version of Aquaman. There's like, I mean, Aquaman, I tell you, aside from Hawkman, there's like how many different versions of Aquaman are there? There's of course the Jason Momoa version, there's the one with the hook, there's the, the hook and the beard and long hair. There's short hair Aquaman from the Super Friends.
Right, there's the Smallville version.
Yeah, there's a lot of Aquaman. He should get more props, but he just doesn't. I think it's the orange and the green. I think as a color combo, that's not a favorite color combo for our what is it, four color heroes.
Well, yeah, but they also said the reason that was that way is because that's supposed to be his political prison outfit.
Huh. That I did not know. Was he so I've read the Peter David Aquaman, but that's about the only Aquaman I ever read.
Ah, where the shark took his hand.
Yep, I read Hook Aquaman. Yes. Hook Aquaman I read. But it was like they had finally, just like so many characters around the early 2000s, they sort of figured out, oh, we can kind of write these based on modern scientific understanding of things. And it was like, well, yeah, Aquaman, to lift whales and throw them, he would have to be super strong. He'd have to be Superman level to do the things he does underwater.
Well, yeah, the biggest thing was him being able to go to the bottom of the ocean. That was the biggest thing
Yeah,
because of the pressure.
it's like he's not getting crushed being in the Marianas Trench or anything like that, but he's kind of thought to be this wimp of a sort. It's like,
Yeah.
not really, you know. He should have been thought to be far stronger, and so David wrote him that way, and I think Peter David also, but that's how, he changed the Hulk around too in a good way. So
Hmm.
I kind of tend to follow him a bit when I'm pretty sure it was Peter David that wrote that Hook Aquaman. I could
No,
be.
he did. He's the one that he did that, and then he did the camouflage suit that they had for briefly. That was like purple, blue, and white because it
Hmm.
was supposed to be the shimmering in water.
Hmm. Yeah, but see, that's the thing about superheroes. The tough thing about superheroes is, I mean, in this, okay, on the soapbox briefly. The tough thing about superheroes is you can't really change their costumes much without a bunch of consternation from all the fans. I mean, you could change Spider-Man to the black costume because arguably it was a pretty cool costume. But in general, you can't mess with the colors at all. You can't even, I mean, I have not liked a Superman
Uh,
suit in a long time at this point because of some of the changes they've made. But, I'm a,
I heard that they couldn't do it. I mean, they could do it, but it wasn't so much a backlash of the fans as licensing.
huh,
Because you
for,
think about it, they have an Aquaman suit,
mm-hmm,
and you have all these contractors paying for this costume look, and then they change the look to a Froyo. That's not Aquaman again.
hmm. So it's branding. It's all brand licensing and branding. You can't
Right.
change. Yeah. But what's interesting is that Batman has all kinds of suits, although you never see him in them except very briefly. I think most of
But
his most colorful suits were in the 60s, where he'd have the zebra suit and the pink suit and the all these different all these
well,
different suits that he had.
well, that's because they realized it was a suit. I mean, in essence, he could get away with it the same way as Iron Man can. The Mark
Yeah,
27, the Mark 28, the Mark One.
yeah. They've always been able to mess around with Iron Man's costume. Um, but they haven't been able to mess with too many people's costumes, like, and have them super varied. But I mean, with Iron Man, it makes sense. It's like the technology changes. It's no longer a big clunky gold suit. Let's make it a streamlined red and gold suit, or
Mhm.
let's make it a black suit, or let's make it a silver and red suit. It makes sense. The technology changes, but in general, it's like Hulk always has purple pants. So
It's
Spider-Man,
not the TV show. He had green Crocs before they had Crocs.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But in general, yeah, they don't mess with anybody's suit. They can mess with Wonder Woman's a bit because they can always say, "Oh, she's a warrior, so this is her warrior outfit," right?
Right. And that's always been the problem also when it comes to suits is that there are different in camps because like we were saying earlier last podcast about the different races like black,
Mm-hmm.
lightning and black volt.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing about
Black Manta.
yeah, they were talking about they had the lady who did super Indian is her
Mm-hmm.
superhero.
Super
And
Indian.
she was talking about how, Indian women are strong and they always put them in the movies and in the comic books with leather fringe.
Sure.
And she was referring specifically to Dawn Star.
Sure. Sure. So when so they're specifically thinking Native American Indian is what you were talking about. I gotcha.
Right.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Um, well, and Thunder, what was his name? Thunderbolt?
It was Thunderbird was the
Thunderbird,
X-Men
that's
that was
right.
Native American.
Yeah, he was in for a hot second. He he died in like three. I think it's because they realized they couldn't have two Wolverines because they basically had two jerks who were, brash and mean and short-tempered. And they were like, well, the guy with the claws, let's have him stay. The other guy just runs fast and jumps and, that kind of thing. So they kind of killed him off. But they managed to bring him back over and over again. And each time it's just like, you guys didn't really know what to do with him, did you?
Well, that's always the problem sometimes is they don't know what to do. Like going back to we were talking about the Legos, that's a good example of missed opportunity. There's no reason why there shouldn't be 1,000-piece Green Lantern. And you just go nuts with the different green things
Like all the different
emulating from the
alien
ring.
yeah, all the different. Oh, that's true. Yeah, you could just get a sort of transparent green, neon green stuff that you could make all kinds of different shapes out of. I suppose there's someone out there that is a major Green Lantern fan, and they have done that. They've gone to the Lego store and they just farmed out all of their fluorescent green Legos to make their giant fist or whatever else.
Exactly.
But yeah, but again, Green Lanterns can't mess with the costume. Fantastic Four can't mess with their costume either.
Well, you can, but like Green Lantern, you have to have a lantern on it somewhere.
You got to have the
Fantastic Four, you
lantern.
have to have four on it somewhere.
That's true. They did have it white there for a second. Oh, that brings, see, an interesting segue to the next news piece. Apparently, Jake Gyllenhaal is in casting rumors for the role of Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four movie. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. Wasn't
Yeah,
he? He was
that's it.
Mysterio. He was Mysterio in the Spider-Man film. I don't know why they would. I mean, I guess they have cast people in multiple roles, like
Well, they're playing off of that variant thing again. That's what they're doing. So he's in another universe. He's Reed Richards.
Okay. Yeah, they're gonna mess that up. I just have absolutely no faith in Marvel's whatever phase this is. What is this? Phase 4?
5.
5. I'd have no faith in phase 5. I think they chose Kang, which it was fine. But I don't know. The problem with that whole Marvel thing is they went to the biggest bad you could go to, which was Thanos. You can't go down from that. You got to work your way up to that. They were kind of doing that with Ultron and all that stuff, but they had always had an idea that they were going to do Thanos, and it's like you can't. He in the comic book, in the Infinity Gauntlet comic book, he killed everyone. He did terrible, terrible things to everyone. You can't walk back and say, okay, well now we're going to do Kang. You should have done Kang before. Kang.
Well, the idea of doing King now is basically to fill the void of Thanos.
Sure, but you can't, like I say, if you go all the way to the biggest bad, you have a hard time working your way down. It's like that's why the Fantastic Four movie, you can't go to Galactus. Although you could, but I mean, it'd be easier to go to Galactus and then down to Doctor Doom, but you can't start the Avengers movie with their worst their worst villain ever. Got to work your way up. Start with, Count Nefaria or something.
No, what you say is absolutely true. It's just that you also remember that of comics of a certain age, the characters, their abilities were not equated with what they should be able to do. Case in point was like Aquaman.
Yeah.
He just talked to fish. And then, as you said, when science discovered the pressures, oh my God, he's not just a wimp.
No,
He's not just taking out.
he's super strong. He's super strong. Yeah, so yeah, but I think that's possibly part of the problem with comic books in general right now is that, at one point a guy flying around in a suit like Iron Man was amazing. And now it's kind of like, well, everybody's got a computer the equivalent of 10 times the power and processing power of what got us to the moon in their pocket. And
Right.
they've got a movie camera in their pocket. They've got a tape recorder in their pocket. They've got every conceivable kind of thing. It's like a Swiss Army machine in their pocket. So it's hard to be super amazed by a guy in a suit flying around. So, yeah, yeah. I I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna pull off the Fantastic Four. I think it's gonna be kind of problematic. And the fact that whenever you hear a movie, I don't know, tell me if you agree with this. Every time you hear about multiple casting rumors, multiple post-production, pre-production problems, delays year after year, that's never a good sign for a movie.
No, it isn't. But the good thing is, once in a while, is as I've coined the phrase, genetic casting is always a high attraction.
What do you mean by genetic casting?
Patrick Stewart, Charles Xavier.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, was that delayed? Were those X-Men movies delayed or just kind of delayed because nobody Sony had the rights and all that sort of thing?
They were not delayed because Marvel was bankrupt at the time. They were giving out the rights to everybody.
Sure.
They
They're
just
like
couldn't realize what
fires,
they could do with it.
yeah, fire sale for all of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I think that if you listen to, I think there's the books Marvel, The Untold Story or something like that, they go into how really into the movies Stan Lee was. He was just super into uh, Marvel properties turning into movies. So his vision, I think, really happened, you know, just before he died, of course, of all those things being turned into movies. But I don't know where they're going to go with anything at this point, you
Well, the
know?
problem with Marvel is that a lot of stuff, do you really want it to be a movie? Because sometimes the character, like Slapstick, living cartoon in the Marvel universe,
Sure,
he's a D level superhero, but he has an A ability.
sure. And well, and some of them, let's be honest, the whole thing works much, much better uh, as a serialized sort of form of entertainment. That's why comic books work is, month after month. But that's also part of the limitation because that's why you can't change costumes so much. Um, is
But
that,
that's
but
the
you,
advantage of the TV shows because you basically were watching a new episode. When
hmm
they had the Cape TV show on NBC years ago, they
hmm
didn't call it a new episode. They said the next issue. That's
sure.
literally what they put in the title was issue 2.
Huh. For what was this again?
It was the Cape. It was basically like a Batman TV show. The concept was that a cop was accused of crime he didn't commit, got chased and basically faked his death to a degree,
hmm
was found by a circus, literally a circus, and the ringmaster had a liking to him and decided to help him be the superhero that his son admired, which was the Cape.
Hmm.
And
Eh,
so they would use everything from herbs, because like I said, he was a ringmaster. So he knew about, a lot of the ancient magics. They were like using herbs or going into meditation or other things
Hmm.
to help him fight crime.
Hmm. I don't remember that one, but yeah. So, and they called it issue 2.
They call it issue 2 or 3.
Hmm.
And the closest they had to a superpower is they had a girl who was genetically altered to alter probability.
Hmm.
So
That's
she
interesting.
could
So she's like Domino in a way.
exactly.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Well,
those are the things that again when we as fans we just want them to finish the stuff.
yeah. Well, but that's the thing is that finishing the stuff requires a whole bunch of factors to come together. Um, you have to have the right talent, you have to have the right writers, it has to hit just at the right time. And that's kind of, I think, the problem with superhero movies right now is that there are so many for such a short period of time. I think people are burnt out. I know I am, and I actually like superheroes, so I can only imagine people who don't like superheroes what they're thinking. They're like, oh God, another superhero film. Whereas
Well, yeah,
I'm
well,
like,
see, that's the big thing is that what they don't understand is they always want the superhero. The superhero's power is restraint,
mm-hmm,
and that's what they don't understand. Because in our society, as long as we have people who can go to jail for a crime they didn't commit, as long as we have officers who can kill without there being a weapon or any other justification, as long
mm-hmm,
as people get made homeless because of a technicality in the law, is why
mm-hmm.
we need superheroes.
Well, so that's, it is a bit of wish fulfillment. I think that, that probably is a good segue to get to what I think the main topic of today's podcast was going to be, which was, sort of these notions of switching the race of different characters, like as far as what we touched on last week about inorganic and organic casting. I wanted to get a little bit deeper with that because there's been a bunch of different things where they've done some casting that's been different. And like I said, I'm still a little concerned about Doctor Who because I don't really want to hear about a bunch of British Doctor Who fan racists talking about the new Doctor Who. But just to open up the subject, we're looking at superheroes as a form of wish fulfillment in some ways. It's like you feel powerless in your life. You can look to superheroes and be like, oh wow, that they fixed a problem. They never fix big problems, but they stop bank robberies and stop some super powered terrorists from doing crazy things, and there's a bit of wish fulfillment there. And until real recently, that wish fulfillment had to be through characters that were predominantly not people of color. I mean, there were always a few.
People not like us.
Yeah, there was always a few. There was always Black Panther's a fairly old character considering he was debuted in this Simon and the Kirby and Lee days of Fantastic Four. But in general, it was few and far between until the Bronze Age. And the Bronze Age was all 70s, all martial arts. That's when you got Power Man and Iron Fist and Misty Knight and Shang-Chi, the master of Kung Fu. So you got a lot of different characters then. But the subject that I was wanting to talk about today was about when you have an established character and they change the race, or they maybe don't change the race, but they make another character of a different race with the same name, like Spider-Man's Miles Morales. I know right now people are trying to call the new Spider-Man game on the PS5, they're trying to say it's all woke because it's not as much Peter Parker and it's more Miles Morales. I don't know what makes it woke there.
Well, that's because I was reading an article, matter of fact, the other day, that Insomniac, the one that's doing the game, they have decided they're going to take the path that Miles is predominantly Spider-Man now.
Okay.
So whatever reason Peter Parker is taking a break, it could be nothing more than his age and want a different life now. I mean, it
Sure.
doesn't have to be something bad.
Sure. It's woke. It's woke. How dare you introduce people of color in this title? He's a totally different Spider-Man. That's the reason why I was talking to Phil Jimenez, artist, very talented, at length at one Comic-Con, and we were talking about, you had read something about, like, there was a study about what groups, what ethnic groups liked what characters and why and all of that. And it seemed as though there was a preponderance of African Americans that were interested in Thor and Spider-Man. Spider-Man, because you could be Spider-Man. There's no way you couldn't identify with him. And Thor, he was just so outlandish, I guess, and out there. I mean, he's pretty blonde, but for whatever reason, and I laughed with him because I was like, well, I fell into that stereotype for sure, that I did like Thor and Spider-Man. But you can be any, you could, race, I didn't think makes much of a factor when you have a costume that you're all you're covered up in. And I remember, like, McFarlane, Todd McFarlane, talking about it. People don't know what race Spider-Man is. He could be anything. And I thought that was, and he thought that it was really great that that could be that way. And that was, I guess, sort of his impetus for having Spawn. It's like, you don't know. He could be black, he could be whatever color. But the issue is the fact that people are upset by these stunt casts where they change the Little Mermaid, or they change the Kingpin, or they make it so that it's mostly Miles Morales, or a character who's been at this point around for what, 10 years, 15?
About 10 years. About 10 years. About 10 years.
Is it? I had the first appearance of it. I sold it when it started going up. I probably should have kept it, but
Probably should
I
have.
sold it for $700 because
You
I
probably
was
should have
like,
kept it.
but it's probably like close to $2,000 now, I'm sure.
Double.
Really?
Yeah.
I had the bagged version too, the unopened copy, and I was like, I'm gonna
Oh my goodness. 6.
6,000? That's crazy. Huh. Well, live and learn. That's the thing about comics. I've had every valuable comic at some point in time outside of, like, the first.
X-Men 1.
Yeah, outside of, like, Giant Size X-Men 1 and X-Men 1 and Avengers 1 and Fantastic Four. Outside of those. But if you get to, like, in the latter part of the Silver Age and all of the Modern Age and Bronze Age, I've had first Moon Knight, appearance of Moon Knight. I've had the first, I had the whole Byrne run in X-Men. I had the entire Miller Daredevil run. I had,
So which one did you like better? Did you like Byrne or Austin?
well, Austin was the inker, typically. So he did the inks for most of Byrne's stuff, whether it was on X-Men or Avengers, I think. He did.
Yeah, because see, you look at Byrne, Austin, and Perez, they each did little different things. Like
Well,
Perez always was good with background. He didn't have just a blank gray-black background. I mean, there was detail.
yeah, God rest his soul. George Perez is like, he's one of the goats for sure. I have a signed Teen Titans from him still, which is pretty cool. But
Mhm.
he was, my first Avengers comics were that, I think it was Avengers 200 where he was doing it, and Byrne had just left, I think, shortly before that. So,
And see,
pretty,
Byrne liked to do the mischievous looks, and
uh,
Austin liked to do the super detail on the hair.
yes, yes. Um, yes. But man, Byrne, there was a period of time where just everybody and their mother loved John Byrne for sure. So, yeah, I don't know if I have a preference when it comes to that, but Byrne, I thought one of the things, like, going back to issues of race, I think Byrne always had different folks of color in his comics as well. My phone is blowing up. I think someone's back into town that I know that was out of town. Forgive me, audience, if you hear that beeping. But I don't know. What do you think about stuff like changing the race of the Kingpin? The subject at hand.
As well is I'd be very honest. Every time they make a change, you get mad, and you get mad until you hear why it's done, because you don't like it done just to be done. I mean, the best example, getting off the subject a little, is Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
When Michael Keaton was going to be Batman, all we could think about was Beetlejuice
Sure.
and the Dream Team. That's what we could think about.
Sure.
And it was his intensity as him trying to withhold the rage of seeing his parents killed. That made it easy to believe that he was Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Mhm.
And the same thing about the Kingpin. When the casting director chose Duncan, we all were sitting up there going, why? And then he's like, who else you gonna find that has this kind of presence at that time as far as coming in? And you can believe that he had the muscle and the mass
Mhm.
to convey the Kingpin.
Sure.
And I mean that's what people don't understand. It's like they had this guy, he and his wife would do cosplay for a long time, and she did Power Girl, and she was black. They're both black. She was doing Power Girl, and it wasn't the cleavage; it was the way she held her mouth that she was Power Girl.
Hmm. And that's how they decided it.
Yeah, and I'm saying that's how you think about it. Is that every character has something that is just across the board, from the first interpretation to the last.
Hmm.
I don't know if the first character set the bar or what, but that makes it so that everybody else has to convey that, even as their own twist.
It makes sense. I'm going to take a cut for a commercial break real quick, and we'll be right back. And we're back. I had to attend to my dog who's needing some attention. But yeah, if they have good reasons behind why they change the character's race, that's fine. But I think many fans see it for what it often is, which is just money making, attention grabbing kind of stunt
Or
more than
catering.
or pandering. Like South Park has got the panda verse, pandering to miscellaneous groups. But I mean, I don't think that I think that I can't speak for all black nerds and geeks and people of color that are into these properties. But I don't think that I think that if it's natural, like you say, organic, and it's just a thing, that's fine. But I think that when you're just switching the race, there's always kind of like why are you doing that? Because the end result is you're just going to make it so that there's more intolerance because there are going to be racists who are going to be mad. There's going to be fans who legitimately have a reason to be mad, and it just makes it look like it seems to increase intolerance in a way.
Oh, I agree because I mean it's like the best comic book universe, as much as I hate to say it, to a degree, was the DCCW universe,
What was that?
the TV shows on CW.
Okay. So like the Arrowverse and all that stuff.
Their Arrowverse, and that's why I said it that way because you
Flash.
had the Flashverse and you know Superman. But my point is that they changed race, they even changed sexuality. But a lot of times, as we have mentioned before, the stuff was never addressed initially.
Sure.
You know,
I remember.
Dream Girl is a good example because they would have the boy or girl in the Legion of Superheroes. She just
Mhm.
came off as just a normal girl of her world where people dreamed.
Mhm.
She was just the strongest of her race.
Mhm.
But when they did her on Supergirl, they made her trans,
Mhm.
and they had a trans actress. So this entirely changed the entire.
The scheme of the thing. Well,
Exactly.
I think that the live action, I think the one way that a lot of things ended up they one way to appease the fans is they say, well, this isn't that universe. Like with Marvel, it's like there's the 616 universe, but then the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a completely different universe. I was like, I don't know. I did know at one point in time, but I'm losing my memory, but it was like a 19,000 something or another. But each universe was different. And so they just would say, well, this is like Earth 2 in DC, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so then most of the fans were like, oh, okay, that's fine. This isn't necessarily my fill in the blank, but this is a different interpretation of that. And I think that most fans appreciate the multiverse aspect of being able to do some different casting. I do feel like some of it has died down, But I think that some of it is like I think if you cast any kind of actor or actress that isn't what that character was in any book or movie or television show or comic, I think that you're gonna, there's a problem. There's a
Well,
problem
that's the
that people
same as
have.
best example is Will Smith as Deadshot.
Sure, but
Be-
did anyone even complain about that? I don't think anybody even complained. Did they complain about that?
No, no one complained about it, but it changed the entire concept because originally they had Deadshot was just another villain, just a run-of-the-mill
Sure.
villain. And then the 50th anniversary, they made a direct, as they say, a partner on the other side, based upon Ella McQueen, partner on the other side, essentially a mirror version of yourself, but they're a villain.
Hmm.
And so when Batman's Bruce Wayne parents got killed that same night, a Lieutenant Gordon killed a husband wife criminal team
Hmm.
in front of their son.
Hmm.
And that son grew up to be basically the Batman equivalent, except he used a gun and he was going to hunt down Commissioner Gordon.
And that's the origin of Deadshot in that particular universe?
No, that was another character all entirely, but they got rid of him and basically made Deadshot take his place.
Oh, I see.
Because Deadshot was basically a person who just loved to shoot because he was bored.
Hmm.
And then he decided to start hunting animals. And then he decided to start hunting people. And
Like
he was
became a
rich.
mercenary, right?
Yeah, and he was rich, so he really didn't need money. And that's how he was equally equivalent to Bruce Wayne. He was rich too.
Well, and so was interesting, I always felt like that was an interesting pocket of the DC universe. You had your Deadshots, you had your Deathstrokes, these guys that were super capable, almost like Batman, super capable, but villains. But it definitely was much later than it was modern age stuff for the most part. Because right, I mean,
Right.
Deathstroke's first appearance was in that what Teen Titans 2?
Titans. Yeah,
Yeah.
Titans.
Yeah. So with the whole Judas contract, which is a nut bringing back good old George Perez, that was a brilliant story. Um, you know, yeah. So it's an interesting thing. Yeah, but yeah, I didn't see anyone complain about that. They just come. I don't know. Huh. I don't. I wonder when it comes to who complains about these things, where the complaints are actually coming from. If it's coming from fans, if it's coming from, weirdo incel racists that just want to start trouble, like that they haven't gotten their fill of 4chan and 8chan yet. Or if it's, just, I don't know what it is, because sometimes I think,
Well, it's a little bit of all of it because I mean, you think about some people that might have been like when we were kids. What was the biggest thing that a lot of white women liked, and why I said it now because they're women now, was
mhm,
strawberry shortcake because strawberry shortcake was a representation of redheads.
sure, you think that was part of it?
Well, I mean, she was one of the first characters really that was a redhead, other than Lucy.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's
And
true.
you see a lot of redheads who, if they were a child, then they still care about strawberry shortcake.
Hmm.
But we also remember that they had other berries that represent other races, like Barbie.
Yeah, the different berries were different shades, complexions, or whatever, what
Right.
have
They
you.
had peach that was black.
Huh. I did not know they had a black strawberry shortcake.
She was peaches and she was black. My sister had her.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, I don't know if we're gonna be able to solve that issue tonight, but my dog is getting antsy, and I'm the one person watching our our dog. But do you have some nopes for the audience? It's been about an hour, so it's not our longest episode, but do you have some nopes and some dopes?
Well, the news dope is that Sony has said that they're going to take voice actors.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to keep them for a while
What do you mean?
for their games for the PlayStation.
Oh, good. Well, that's good.
So,
That's your.
and the dope is Microsoft is considering also going digital for their actors.
Oh, nice.
I said dope, nope.
That's a nope.
Yes, because they're doing that so that the actor strike. They figured that's a way of getting around to make sure their games are still coming out.
Hmm.
Is that a wizard shirt, sir?
That is. I'm wearing a Wizards Ralph Bakshi shirt. Let me
Fritz is
grab.
dead.
Uh, yep. Hold on 1 second. This dog is being crazy. 1 second. I'm gonna have to have a technical difficulty sign that's just my dog and his ball.
That will work.
But yes, for those listening, I'm wearing a Ralph Bakshi movie, The Wizards, Wizards t-shirt, where love is on the cover, riding the, I don't know what it was. It was kind of a dragon kind of thing that he was riding. One of my favorite animated movies. Probably ruined me completely.
Yeah, Fritz is dead. Fritz is dead.
Yep.
I'm alive.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, it was such a. Check it out, if for ladies and gentlemen, if it's not super hard to come by. I think you can get it for like $5 on Amazon Prime. Yeah, Wizards by Ralph Bakshi, same guy who did the early Lord of the Rings trilogies
As animation.
I think he did Fritz the Cat, and he did Heavy Traffic and some other stuff, more adult
Some
cartoons.
of Heavy Metal.
Yeah, and some of Heavy Metal. He was early adult animation in America. I mean, there's always been adult animation in Japan and the East, but early Western adult animation, like Heavy Metal and all that stuff, you know. So they would show some naughty things on occasion. But Wizards was great. I tell people about it all the time. Yeah, so good eye. You're not able to see this, ladies and gentlemen, listening, but yes, Terrence, I stood up chasing my dog around, and Terrence spotted, good eye, my Wizards t-shirt. But my nope is I heard Simon Pegg. I'm late comer to this, but apparently there's a quote out there. Simon Pegg, who is, Super Fuzz or Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead and Spaced, all of which I love. It has a quote. This, I guess, was in July, so it's news to me. But he said, this is a quote: "This culture of infantilized adulthood, all these grown-ass men arguing about effing superheroes online. And meanwhile, the world is falling apart in so many different ways. And that's why we will all go to hell, because no one will grow the F up anymore. Everybody's so plugged into being a child, I've aged out of a lot of what people assume I'm about. I don't feel that I'm like that geeky guy anymore, particularly. I don't have the same interests I had when I was 35 or 40 even. I'd much rather watch Succession than some sci-fi." And that's a nope. I mean, he's I get his point, because yes, the world is falling apart, and I don't think people fighting about superheroes is helping that. But at the same time, I think, just like what you like, and it's okay. I don't think it's necessarily being infantilized. I do think you need to have a proper balance of, social action, political action, charitable giving, helping your small ecosystem, and, occasionally watching a superhero film or playing Dungeons and Dragons. I don't think it's going to kill anything. And frankly, stuff like Succession bores the heck out of me, because I don't need yet another story of some powerful, rich family trying to screw each other over. I feel like, we've been watching that place in Shakespeare. So I don't think that's necessarily the height of human creativity. Watching
that's because he's
business.
trapped in the idea, and that is that we all have our own way of surviving trauma. That's the best way to put it. And trauma, unfortunately, can be a scale of 0 to infinite.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be as simple as throwing a Tootsie Roll in your mouth to going to have to play a video game for a week.
Sure.
But if our escape, to me, our escape is no more wrong than you hear. He talks about problems in the world. Okay, let's talk about problems in the world. We have the American society. They will fight because of pride and ego in our very government before things are accomplished.
Sure. We have a completely ineffectual government that will tie up, any kind of forward progress because, someone wants to have a bill that supports, gay marriage. We'll tie up everything to prevent it. People will do that.
Exactly. I mean, the
People
best
will,
example is, let's say we found a cure for cancer. Let's just throw it out, a cure for cancer. And Mitch McConnell is in charge. Okay, he says, well, it's done by a liberal. Yeah, well, we're not going to release it. That's
yeah.
the
So,
state we're in right now. And
yeah.
that's not a
So,
good state.
and so I don't think watching Succession or Avengers Endgame is going to move that needle.
Exactly. And the
Until
same thing
the
about,
needle will have to be moved by far different people than that. I mean, and it may require the whole planet being on fire and people saying, we're done with this supposed representative government because it's not representing anything or anyone except special interests in small groups. So yeah, I do get his point. I think it is a bit ridiculous to take any of these fictional things so seriously that you are arguing at the top of your lungs about it. But I do think they're fun things to talk about and fun things to cover because, they're fun. And I think in a world that's becoming increasingly grim and dark like ours, any brief amount of respite you get, which may be just watching a sci-fi show or playing a silly video game or a silly comic book to some people, might just be enough to prevent you from being so negative in your small ecosystem and spreading that negativity around.
Exactly. Because sometimes when they talk about bullying or they talk about the shootings, as far as school and all that, how many of those things would have been inverted if someone could call up somebody and say, I want to talk about the Moon Knight versus Batman or something. That whole distraction could save someone's life.
Sure. And, I think that whatever positive impact I have on my world now or even in the past comes in large part because, some of these things helped me put one foot in front of the other and stay alive, and try to continue. Because, when you're, a lonely kid or maybe you're a little shy or you're a little maybe smarter than people want you to be or precocious or what have you, these things can be your salvation. These science fiction books and properties. I mean, I can't even express how much I got out of Stephen King and Ray Bradbury and Arthur C. Clarke and comic books and playing Dungeons and Dragons, and so those things helped me to keep going and encouraged me to help others to keep going. So I think probably a net positive, whereas Succession just makes me think corporations are evil jerks and continue to spread their poison. So, love you still,
Are you just a little
Simon.
bit biased?
Yeah, love you still, Simon Pegg, but I think you might be wrong on that one. Well, sir, I think that is gonna, I guess, a slightly abbreviated version, although not too abbreviated. It's been about an hour.
We did over an hour.
Oh, good, perfect. Well, the fans, the subscribers will dig that.
Yes, they can tolerate us another week.
Yeah, they'll tolerate us another week. I'll try and get better about getting some news stuff out there that we like to talk about. But you're just getting a window of our rambling Old Man Blerd sort of meanderings in our minds, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Please,
Inject us.
yeah, right. You can find Terrence at drakestorm@gmail.com. And you can find me at thatsoquantum@gmail.com. Check out the That's So Quantum show. We'll be starting the second episode, hopefully fairly soon, doing a read through. You can check out the Felicia Day song that we wrote to another nerd princess. And yeah, that we'll see you hopefully in about a week or so. And as we like to sign off, don't be a stranger.
Just be strange.
Take care. Have a great week, everybody.